Hello, everybody. I'm Congressman Jim McGovern, and I want to thank Massachusetts Peace Action for inviting me to say a few words at today's important gathering. I am especially honored to be joining Santa Fe Archbishop John Wester, who is a leader and guide on so many issues, including the threat of nuclear war. His words and actions are a light in these difficult and sometimes dark times. For those of you who know me, you know that I'm essentially an optimist. I believe that people coming together, forming broad coalitions, engaging in thoughtful dialogue across social, economic, and philosophical lines, and then committing to action can change the world for the better. Like you, I have opposed out-of-control defense spending and hundreds of billions of dollars devoted to building a new generation of nuclear weapons. Today, we have gathered to take a hard look at the threat of nuclear war and the terrible social and economic costs to build and support the U.S. nuclear arsenal. During debates on the defense budget, I've always questioned why it seems we can find more money for the Pentagon, more money to build new generations of nuclear weapons, but we never seem to find enough money to make sure that everyone in America has food on the table, a modern school for all of our kids, and a living wage for every worker. There's always money for bombs, missiles, and warheads, but not for healthcare, climate change, or a humane and efficient immigration system at our borders. Nearly 1 year ago, Russia invaded Ukraine. Since then, the world has become more aware than ever how close we are to the use of nuclear weapons. How close we all are to a world war that could see the use of nuclear weapons. How a major nuclear power can hold the world hostage while it carries out a brutal, illegal invasion of a neighboring country. There are those who point to the invasion of Ukraine as a reason to call for a new arms race, a new nuclear arms race. I believe we must race in a different direction. We should be moving rapidly towards reinvigorated negotiations to reduce, disarm, and ultimately eliminate nuclear weapons. As the world also races towards a climate catastrophe, we can't continue to build weapons that could trigger in an instant a climate catastrophe of unimaginable magnitude. And let me be clear, while there are some who argue that nuclear weapons have kept the peace since the end of World War II, that is simply a lie. The world has not been at peace. We may not have seen wars where the global powers launched nuclear weapons, although we came frighteningly close a few times, just as we stand now on the brink of a nuclear exchange. But that is not the same as peace. We have witnessed too many wars, large and small, between neighbors, internal conflicts, civil wars, and wars where major powers invaded smaller nations. Wars where, if we added up the numbers, millions upon millions of innocent civilians have died. They have died as direct victims of war. They have died of starvation, or they have died of exposure and exhaustion along lonely marches to find someplace, any place of safety and refuge. Men, women, and children, in the tens of millions. And I'm proud to have joined with my good friend and colleague, Congressman Earl Blumenauer, in introducing HRES 1185 to embrace the goals and provisions of the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. In the coming days, we will be reintroducing that resolution in the 118th Congress. I'm proud to have joined with Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts to introduce H.R. 3837, the HALT Act, which calls for a nuclear freeze, a return to negotiations, and the ultimate elimination of nuclear weapons. That bill will also be reintroduced in the coming weeks in both the Senate and in the House. And I'm proud to have co-sponsored Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton's bill, H.R. 2850, to abolish nuclear weapons and increase investments in our economy and energy alternatives, which I'm sure she will be reintroducing in this Congress. Look, unless the nuclear powers, including the United States, demonstrate the resolve to address the serious existential threats facing the world right now, we cannot expect a world that lives in peace. And we cannot build the kind of equitable, inclusive, and responsive budget that our neighborhoods, our communities, our towns, and our cities need to thrive. The United States and all nuclear powers must renew negotiations to reduce and eliminate nuclear weapons. We need to develop effective strategies that move the world back from the nuclear brink and prevent nuclear war. Now let me end with just a couple of thoughts. You know, some people believe Congress is the vanguard of change. Well, we are not. We are the caboose. Don't get me wrong, I think it's important to push Congress to enact laws that honor the priorities that need greater care and attention. But it does not happen unless people across economic, social, political, and geographic lines are coming together, demanding change, and showing how change can happen in their own communities and towns. Change doesn't happen with just a click on a link that sends a letter or signs a petition before you close your laptop or turn off your computer screen. Change comes from engagement and getting more and more people engaged in making change at the local and state level. And then Congress and the federal government can believe in change because they see it and they feel it. They can believe it's possible because it's happening. And it's happening because it's needed, it's wanted, it's real, it's effective, and it's successful. And so I wish you a successful conference today, not just in talking and defining the challenges that we face, but to develop the concrete steps we each must take to end the threat of nuclear war. Thank you all very much.